Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. The shadow, who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. Years ago, Cranston learned a strange and mysterious secret, the hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible shadow belongs. The only person besides me, and I'm going to tell you, the voice belongs to Alec Baldwin.
And indeed, it is Alec Baldwin, the latest incarnation of the character created in the early 30s by Walter B. Gibson. The Shadow finding life first in so-called pulp detective magazines, then on film, in novels, comic books, and radio.
I think that our Shadow is a combination of the cartoon and magazine artwork. I mean, as far as the look, you want to be faithful to that. But as far as the flavor and the style of it, I think you want it to be very much like the radio show, where it's a little campy, and it has its tongue a little bit in its cheek.
Perhaps the most famous voice of the Shadow during its radio heyday was that of Orson Welles. Even through a filter microphone required whenever Lamont Cranston spoke as the Shadow, Welles' distinctive voice was unmistakable.
I am here in the shadow, but I'm afraid you can't see me.
I can kill you.
Kill me? The Shadow Sadi?
Yes.
What I liked about Cranston's character was he has these superheroic qualities, but he came from having a dark side himself. When you say the line, "Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?" it's not that this guy is guessing or surmising. He knows because he's been there.
Another actor who's been there is Victor Jory in a low-budget 15-chapter serial in 1940. Jory, who was the physical personification of the Shadow, had a nemesis called the Black Tiger.
The day of the Black Tiger is nearly finished.
You're wrong, Shadow. The Tiger's day has just begun.
So I'll hit this mark now, find that light.
In the new $45 million Shadow, Alec Baldwin's nemesis is John Lone, who plays Shiwan Khan. Here, meeting in the Shadow's underground hideout and under the direction of Russell Mulcahy, they walk a fine line between drama and comedy.
That is a lovely tie, by the way. May I ask where you acquire it?
Brooks Brothers.
Is that Midtown?
45th and Madison. You are a barbarian.
Thank you. We both are.
The Shadow image of the hawk-like features, slouch hat, and cape were all defined in the Depression-era pulp magazines. But according to Shadow historian Guy Gooden, there was a low point of image changing.
In the 60s, Archie Comics, the maker of Archie Andrews, did a Shadow that wore tights and a cape, looked like Clark Kent, had glasses, and was a member of a secret organization like James Bond. And then later in the 80s, where the Shadow was in modern times, at one point he dies, loses his head, and becomes Robo-Shadow.
Rest assured, Alec Baldwin plays the Shadow as originally created. And one of my favorite moments in the movie occurs during a scene in the Kobold Club. Jonathan Winters, as Cranston's police commissioner uncle, doesn't know his nephew is the Shadow and describes his pending capture.
You're not going to appoint a task force.
No, hell with it. I'm not going to appoint a task force.
You're not going to pay any attention to these reports of the Shadow.
Ignore them entirely.
There is no Shadow.
No, there is no Shadow. If there were, I'd be Eleanor Roosevelt. Working in the Cobalt Room with Alec, I felt probably a little more important, even though I was just one of the actors in it, not the star by any manner means. but I really felt important in that scene. I really felt good.
And that's how producers hope audiences will feel as The Shadow, starring Alec Baldwin, becomes visible today on movie screens nationwide. For today, Jim Brown, NBC News, Hollywood.